Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Anchors TV. I'm delighted to be joined by Stockton Town Football Club Chairman Martin Hillerby for this exclusive interview. Firstly, thank you very much for taking the time to join me, Martin.
Yeah, not a problem, Andrew. Thanks for taking the time to do this.
I just want to start off. It's a difficult time for everyone at the moment, but how, with the return of football being unlikely, how are you feeling at the moment? How is the club doing?
Personally, I think I'll probably speak for everybody involved with the club, whether it's a spectator, a volunteer, a player, just utter frustration at where we find ourselves. But obviously, the most important thing in all that is that we all stay safe and that we've eventually got a football club to come back to. The club is in a safe position. We shut down completely. Everything's boxed up, so that the club is in a safe, solid position, ready to hopefully flourish again once this pandemic is in a position that we can reasonably go back to football.
And of course, this pandemic has been going on all around the world for over a year, almost a year in the UK, especially. It's just an extremely difficult time for everyone at the moment. But with another season looking as though it's going to be null and void, what would that mean for the club?
Well, it's just another disappointing outcome where we find ourselves at the moment if we don't restart football. Obviously, we ideally want to finish the season. We want to play football. We want to prove how good we are. So it's really disappointing, where we find ourselves. I think we've got to have an eye on that bigger picture of what's happening in the world, in our community, and try and balance them factors up. But as soon as we can be playing football, we want to be playing football as a club. Simple as that.
And the Northern League came out with the statement as well, saying that their preferred option for this season would to be actually null and voiding it. What was your thoughts when you read the statement?
To be fair, it wouldn't be my first choice. I can understand where the Northern League Committee or the way that they're looking at it, but from a club perspective, we want to ideally finish this season. If it can't be finished, we feel there's got to be some way to bring the efforts of the last couple of seasons to a solution, to an end point, and we've expressed them issues. I think the Northern League have looked at it as well with regards to about the 300 the ability to have secondary sales. They have looked at it from a global picture, and we agree with them sentiments 100% that they'd be the key criteria to start again, or the minimum criteria to start again. But first and foremost, if we can start again in March, which I accept is looking unlikely, we'd want to play as many games to try to get to the points per game scenario, if at all possible.
And it comes back to the decision that was made last season. It looks even more bizarre, the fact that 30 games was played for ourselves and 31 for others, 29 for a couple of others as well. And then you've got to this season, you've played 10 games. You've not been able to play any more because of the pandemic. So does last season's decision look even more bizarre to you now that you know what's actually happened from the 2020-21 season, from the beginning to now? How little has been played?
Well, I think if you ask most of non-league football, that we all find ourselves in similar boats. Everybody was extremely frustrated, last spring, late spring, early summertime, when it was declared null and void. We couldn't understand the rush to make them decisions. And I remember at the time, I was one of the biggest advocates saying, we might regret that decision and really welcome the chance that we had 10 or 12 games to complete of last season, at some point in the future, because none of us knew how it was going to pan out. And it's one of them, that hindsight's a wonderful thing, but we found ourselves in that situation. If we'd played them remaining games and completed the 1920 season at the back end of 2020 there, we'd now be sat there with a non-league scene that felt there was some credibility to a season. There was some recognition of their efforts and the money spent. And I think we would all be acceptant of the fact that the 2020-2021 season wouldn't happen because of the pandemic, because of where we're sat. But now we're sat with the situation where we've got 2 seasons uncompleted, and that frustration's magnified itself, hasn't it, in everything you hear around non-league football.
Because when lockdown hit last March, obviously the season finished just before that point. Nobody knew how long this was going to go on for. It was just so much uncertainty in the world in general, not just in football. Just how much of an impact would it be on the club because let's face it, the club, yourself, everyone behind the scenes, everyone on the pitch from players to management, they strongly believed that they would not be caught last season. They were going to win that title. How much of an impact would it be if you didn't get up this season?
It would be a setback without a doubt, because we're an ambitious club. We want to see how far we can take this. That the people of Stockton are behind it. People have bought into what we're trying to achieve here. So it would be a big body blow, but we've got to realise, as well as a football club, that we've been in this situation before in the Wayside League, where we couldn't get promoted because of ground criteria. So the club's got a record of taking blows, quite hefty blows. Some of the playing staff and the management staff have stuck behind the club. So in difficult circumstances like that. So I'm pretty sure that would happen again, that we just have to, consolidate and look to go again when football starts again. But it would be a blow, but not one that we're not used to, and one that we wouldn't overcome.
And that's the key point that you wanted to get across, that although this would be another major blow, it's not going to stop us in trying to achieve what we want to achieve.
Absolutely, Andrew. I think we've got to look back. I'm a big one for looking back. Where were we 12 months ago as a club? Where were we 2 years ago as a club? Where were we 5 years as a club? And you've got to look back in these chunks to me to see what's been achieved, And if you look back 10 years and you look at what's been achieved at Stockton Town in 10 years, and we might all be frustrated with what's happened with the last 2 seasons. We might all, I've heard spectators say, "Oh, I've had enough of this. This is a load of rubbish." I've had volunteers phone me and say, "I'm really struggling with this, if they null and void it again." And my plea to us all would be, whether we're volunteers, players, employees, spectators, in any way, anyone that's interacting with the football club, is look what we've achieved in the last 10 years. And I think, personally, Stockton's brightest days are yet ahead of it, hopefully, and yes, it might be a setback. Yes, it might be frustrating, but let's play our part in the community, get everybody safe, get back to football, and look at what we can achieve in the next few years.
So as chairman of the football club, your message is stick with us, stick together, and we'll get through this.
Absolutely. We've got a track record as a club. We've got a track record amongst our playing staff. We've got a track record amongst our management staff, our volunteers, our spectators before, when we were just playing in the Wayside League on the backfield, that for 4 years running, we couldn't go up. We will come through this, and we will come through it stronger. And we've what's important is that when we get through it, our sponsors stick with us, our players stick with us, our spectators continue to turn up and support the club, and that's got to be the big play in all this. Everyone's frustrated. Everyone's probably a little bit of anger in there as well, if the truth be known, and clenching the teeth. But we've got to come out of it together and think they ain't going to take where we want to be away from us. We've got to look to push on.
Because the ambitions of the club is evident. You want that progression. You don't want to be stuck in the Northern League. You want that promotion, but you want to continue to grow as a club as well, don't you?
Absolutely, and it's I think when we set off from the old under-18s team and went into the Teesside League, the Northern League was an absolute aspiration. When we got to the second division of the Northern League, it was we didn't quite understand the achievement of getting there at the time, I don't think. But then to win that, and that is some achievement, as we know the strength of that. Then to get to Northern League Division 1, and you're always looking about where we can go. Now, if we got to Northern League Division 1 and somebody had said that to us 5-6 years ago, we'd have looked at them probably a bit funny. Then said, oh, well, you would get an FA Vars final. Then you'd be on the verge of being crowned Northern League Division 1 champions and going on to play in the Northern Premier League. If last season had been, we wouldn't have believed any of it, and all we've got to keep doing is setting them goals and them hurdles for us to get over as a club. And, none of them are ever going to change. Wherever we end up, our goal is always going to be to progress and to make the club better in every way. And that's from the juniors, junior set up within the club, the academy that we work with the sixth form college on, to what's produced in the first team and what goes out. But the people of Stockton have proved, haven't they, that they want a football club. The average attendances last year were just short of 500, and it had been well over 500 with the remaining games that have been played. So everything's in place for us to continue to progress. We just need to believe that it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
You touched earlier upon the attendances, and obviously it's not really possible to restart, or there was talk of a cup competition, possibly April, May time. It's just not possible without supporters. They make football what it is. They've made Stockton Town Football Club what it is today. So having the limited number of supporters, you went from 300 to 150, and then you had to play the FA Vars games behind closed doors. How much did that impact the club, both on the pitch and also off the pitch?
Well, it's having a massive impact. It's you don't need me to tell you what them numbers would look like. When you've got 500 people coming through the gate. And let's face it, I think at the end of last season, we anticipated we could potentially have two gates of over 1,000 in our 3 remaining home games with the position we were in the league. It's a lot of revenue, but it's the secondary spend you get on site. Our bar is really popular. Our social side's really popular. All that stopped. So we've literally had our social facilities shut down for the best part of coming up 12 months, as you're aware. So all them things impact on everything that we do. Fortunately, we have been in a position to claim some of the grants and the business support schemes that are out there. And, when we're shut down, we're in quite a stable position. It's when you try to open up again and you suddenly have to start turning on your overheads and your expenditure, and you don't know what's coming through the door. So when we were limited to 150 and then playing behind closed doors, in them games we're losing substantial amounts of money,
There's been talk online. Ollie Bayliss, for example, mentioned it, Project Non-League, of combining the last 2 seasons, the results, working out a points per game basis. and then seeing who would get promoted. There wouldn't be any relegation on that plan, as far as I read. I don't know if you've had a look at it, but do you feel that would be a fair outcome if nobody's getting punished and the ones who have done well are getting rewarded?
Yeah, so obviously we've read a lot about Project Non-League that's emerged in the last few weeks. You know, we completed the FA survey that we were requested to do. That had to be in last Friday through the Northern League, and it was direct online to the FA. And you know, our primary objective is to try and complete the season. If the season can't be completed, to play enough games by the 31st of May that it can be decided on a points per game basis. And that has got to be the ultimate aim. You know, obviously counted in there has got to be, can we get spectators in, that we're not going to lose that much money that it becomes just totally unviable. So if we can get the spectators in, our primary objective is to finish as much as the season we can on the field, and you know that brings the integrity and the sporting integrity to it. However, if that can't be done, you know, I think personally, and we've discussed it within the club, that the FA has got an opportunity with the restructure that it wants to implement and the proposals put forward by Project Non-League to actually create real positivity in non-league football without anybody suffering. So we all know there'll be substantial movement of clubs. You know, the National League levels wanted to go up to 24 clubs. The Step 4 level needed a substantial amount more clubs from Step 5. That would suck people up from Step 6 and Step 7, as we're aware. So if all that was implemented, it would create a huge amount of positivity in non-league with nobody suffering. If they're just null and void this season again, the negativity, the negativity that would be about in non-league football wouldn't go away. And to me, to create that positivity, it gives the FA what they want in terms of the restructure. It gives them the pyramid they want, and it gives all the teams that have been successful or invested money an opportunity to progress. So to me, you know, we need strong leadership and management of this somewhere along the line within non-league football. But the opportunity that's there to create a really positive outcome out of all the problems that pandemics cause within non-league football, if they miss this opportunity or non-league football misses this opportunity, it's really sad state of affairs, in my opinion. So we're supporting Project Non-League. We put that on our survey back to the FA about which route we would prefer to go. And as I say, playing and completing as much of the season points per game, number one priority. If that can't be achieved, Project Non-League, in our opinion, has got to be the way to go.
Because of the decision that was made last March to null and void the seasons from Step 3 downwards, do you believe the FA have an opportunity, a rare opportunity to right their wrong, so to speak?
You know, it's a difficult one. That they do have that opportunity, don't they? But you know, they'll look at it, and there's a minority of clubs that actually think it was a wrong, and that's the people that were in promotion positions looking to progress. The problem that we've got in non-league football is there's a lot of clubs looking at it and just thinking, well, it doesn't affect me, so just null and void it, instead of looking at what non-league football should be about. You know, the integrity of a competition, the integrity that, you know, successful teams should be rewarded, successful clubs. You know, don't forget, some of these clubs will have invested many, many, many tens of thousands of pounds in this. And that's why we feel wronged as such. and we've got to find, to me, we've got to find a way that that feeling is taken away and all a non-league family as such is brought back together with a feeling of positivity, ready to restart football again. And I cannot see the problem with in project non-leagues objectives. I can't see a negative.
Looking back, you mentioned earlier, sorry, the last 10 years in the club's history, the growth, the progress, the rise through the leagues to where we are now on the verge of potentially getting promotion to Step 4. It's just remarkable. An FA Vars final at Wembley, you mentioned that if you said that 5 years ago, you probably wouldn't have believed the person that was speaking to you. So it's vital to, one, remember how far we've come, but two, to also remain positive that these difficult times aren't going to last forever, and positive times will come back.
I can't agree anymore, Andrew, that we've got to take that mentality forward, and we've got to try and take everybody with us. As I've said, our spectators, our sponsors, that can, and our volunteers, I've heard some of them say that they're really struggling with some of the negativity around non-league football, and why should they bother to come back to non-league football if the potential is there for it just to be null and voided again at some point in the future. So there's a lot of repair work needs to be done within every little group there, and we've got to, my appeal out there to our sponsors, our spectators, our volunteers, our players, everybody, I've got to say again, is stick with us, remain positive, because when we get out of this pandemic, wherever we are, we want Stockton Town to be back on that upward curve, and that positivity. And I know I'm working behind the scenes to make sure that happens. And it'd be really good if we can really hit the ground running with return spectator numbers, sponsors standing behind us, and that we can really look to push this football club forward again.
I just want to talk about on the field, what's been going on the field this season. We've had 12 league games. We've had two competitions that we've been competing in, the national competitions, the FA Vars and the FA Cup. How would you sum up the season? We had that little blip in the middle, but we were starting to look like the team that we did last season, didn't we?
Yes, I think the first few weeks of the season, we just didn't click as such. We were dominating teams, and the ball just wouldn't go in the net. We were then conceding a daft goal, and it was, you could feel the frustration amongst the players, and amongst everybody. But that first month of the season, once that was behind us, you could see in some of the performances we really started to step into the season. The performances were good. Not that there was anything really wrong with the performances early doors. We weren't getting the rub of the green. We weren't sticking the ball in the net. But it's testament to the players and management. They stuck with it. They didn't panic. And when lockdown came, we were really starting to step on the gas as such. So we were really confident about the direction we were going in, and we were looking forward to the remainder of the season.
You said there that the form was one of the best in the league when we finished for lockdown at that Riot game. Little did we know that there would only be a few more games played after that between now and then. So if the league season doesn't get to a conclusion, what will you and what will the team take from this season?
Personally, I'd take from it just the belief that we're still one of the best playing squads in the division, and that when we start again, a new season starts again, that we are well set to to progress and maintain our success of the last couple of seasons. You know, all of that comes with hard work and a bit of luck, and luck with injuries, as we know. But you know, we're not too far away from where we want to be. Would be my assessment of it.
And it might be a little bit of a vague question, Martin, but looking ahead, you as the chairman, what do you think the club can achieve in this next 5 years?
As I've said many times before, Andrew, you know, it's Stockton Town will be as big as the people of Stockton want it to be. You know, if people keep turning up, we keep getting the crowds that we get in, people keep buying the shirts and support us in every way they can. The club cannot fail to be a success, you know, because Stockton's a big town, population 190-ish thousand, projected to go to about 210,000, I think, by 2030. It's a big town, and if the people of Stockton get behind it, the potential is enormous, you know. So in the next 5 years, you know, we would want to be in the Northern Premier League in within that period of time, if we possibly can. And you know, who's to say that in that time we can't get to a position to push to go beyond that? Who knows? Again, it depends. If people turn up through the gate, people keep supporting us, the potential in a town of our size is enormous.
I think it'd be nice to round off this this interview, Martin, with a little bit of a message to supporters, to anyone that's struggling out there during these difficult times, during this third lockdown in the UK. Just kind of finishing it off with a message from yourself as chairman of this football club.
Yeah, I know how much I get out of the football club, you know, from what is essentially my hobby, you know, and I know what it means to me. I know what it means when I can't go out to football. I know what it means when I'm trying to watch some of the sterile stuff that's on the telly. I just want to be back out at football. I just want to be back out in the community, enjoying seeing what we can achieve. You know, I miss the players, I miss the management, but you know, all I can say is the club's in a really safe position. I know we're all frustrated. We all want to be back, and let's just get the next couple of months over with. Let's get our society and our community into a safe position, and the football club will be here for you when we come back. I can assure you of that. We're not in any danger whatsoever. So it's something to look forward to. We're a strong club. We're well set. We want you back. We want to be back. And you know, if you can find a way to come and support us once all this is over, that'll be absolutely fantastic. And all I can say is our ambition is undimmed. Look what we've achieved over the last 10 years. And I can assure you that, you know, we want more years of success like that.
Brilliant. It's been fantastic to sit down and talk about a number of subjects, from the outcome or your preferred outcome of this season to talking about how pivotal the supporters and sponsors are going to be along the way, not just this season but beyond. So from me, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk today.
No, it's no problem, Andrew. Thank you very much. Let's hope we are seeing each other in the flesh sooner rather than later.
Definitely. For all the latest Stockton Town news updates, make sure you are following us on all of our social media platforms and keep updated with the website too. Thank you very much.